Oh, okay.
Hello, I'm Cody Neighbor, and I'm here with Casey Ganadas,
Uh,
Paul Stevens,
Hello.
Gloria Hines,
Hello.
and Zoya Khan.
Hello.
Today, we want to inform you about a nonprofit organization that we have selected and want to convince you to support. The organization is the Nature Conservatory, and their mission is to slow global warming. According to MotherJones.com, if we do not take swift action in solving our global warming crisis, we can expect our glaciers to be melted within 20 years. We have collected information from several websites and multiple organizations about global warming to compile them here for you today. To summarize, today we will be talking about global warming, its causes and effects, some solutions, along with a mention of some nonprofits who fight for this cause. Then we will provide a detailed description of our chosen organization we found best fit for your support should you choose to help. But first, our motivations. So why global warming? We want to bring attention to a global crisis, and we felt that global warming doesn't get the attention it deserves or needs. We hope to make an impact and a small difference in the global warming crisis today. We want to give an organization that is already making an impact some much needed assistance through you and Dr. Tyrus. Now, Casey Ganadas with some problems and causes.
Climate change isn't an issue that we can simply reverse. It's an ongoing problem that is affecting every part of our world. One of the major causes of climate change and global warming is what's known as the greenhouse effect. According to NASA, the greenhouse effect is the way in which heat is trapped close to the surface of the Earth by greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases include things like carbon dioxide, methane or natural gas, and nitrous oxides. While the production of these is natural, human interference disrupts the energy balance and produces more, especially carbon dioxide, which is a byproduct of fossil fuel combustion. Union of Concerned Scientists laid out many of the impacts of climate change. Some of the more immediate or obvious effects are as follows. More frequent and intense heat waves. We've seen an increase in the dangerously hot weather in the past 60 years. Also, there's an increase in extreme weather events such as heat waves, flooding, extreme precipitation, and droughts. We've had more destructive hurricanes than ever before, heavier precipitation leading to flooding, especially along the coast. And we have higher temperatures, which cause heavy rainfall in many areas. And over the past 50 years, you've seen a 67% increase in rainfall in the Northeast, 31% in the Midwest, and 15% in the Great Plains. We've also seen severe droughts in other areas, especially the American Southwest, and they've had longer durations of these droughts. We've also seen destruction of marine ecosystems because higher concentrations of carbon dioxide cause the oceans to become more acidic and warmer, and those are both harmful effects to things at the base of the food chain, such as coral, shellfish, and phytoplankton. Uh, Also, the seasons are changing. Spring arrives 10 days earlier, and I know in Ohio we don't really complain about that because of our harsh winters, but it can have many dangerous effects, like leading to snow melting earlier, which in turn causes the ground to dry out earlier and leads to a longer wildfire season. Also, as Cody stated, glaciers are melting faster than they can be replenished, and these effects lead to things that might be less obvious to people, like rising waters, sea levels, which can affect coastal military bases and homes, and even national landmarks such as Ellis Island, the Everglades, and Cape Canaveral. We've also seen many health impacts that are a result of climate change. Pollution has its effects on us, and also we've had longer, more intense allergy seasons, an increase in the spread of insect-borne diseases, and a rise in asthma and other respiratory difficulties. Climate change also puts pressure on power, water, and energy supplies. Droughts in the West force them to use water faster than it can be replenished, and aging energy infrastructure is vulnerable to the effect of climate change. We've also seen disruption in the food supply because heat waves and heavy precipitation can affect the production of crops and livestock, and it drives up their cost as well. And finally, planned animal range shifts are a result of global warming because warm weather animals and plants are expanding to new areas, and those that inhabit colder habitats are forced into smaller and smaller areas. Luckily, there are options to get us back on track, and I'm going to let Paul talk about those.
There are many organizations around the world working to spread awareness and advocate for environmental change. They attempt to study the effect we have on the climate and educate the population of what each individual person can do to affect the environment in a positive way. And even go as far as trying to reach out to lawmakers to establish regulations that could positively influence our carbon footprint. These organizations accomplish their mission using scientific methods and provide resources that anyone can access. One organization is the Climate Reality Project. For a long time, environmental protection wasn't considered by many people and was even considered fringe among the average person until former Vice President Al Gore made the movie An Inconvenient Truth, which brought environmental awareness to the forefront and got many people thinking of what we can do. After making this movie, he made a few organizations and consolidated them into the Climate Reality Project, which works to continue spreading awareness and even as many events annually. Another the technologies to see how we affect the rainforests and many places around the world, and have resources that anyone can access, including farmers trying to figure out which crops they can grow at what times to not affect their landscape negatively. And finally, we have the Nature Conservancy. Gloria Hines can tell you about the Nature Conservancy.
In order to help contribute to positive changes in climate control, we decided to select the Nature Conservancy. The Nature Conservancy began in 1950, when a group of leaders gathered and laid the groundwork for what would later be known as the Nature Conservancy. In 1970, a committee led by Victor Shepard helped establish ecology as a distinct field of study. It wasn't until 1950 that the Nature Conservancy officially formed, and it was also incorporated into a nonprofit organization. Finally, in 1980, the Nature Conservancy went international. They launched their international conservation program in Latin America. The Nature Conservancy continues to make strides all across the world, as well as increasing its legitimacy. According to SourceWatch, the Nature Conservancy is considered a big green environmental group and one of the most largest and most prominent in the world. It ranks in 97 out of 100 for accountability, according to Charity Navigator. Another big charity website, give.org, states that it is an accredited charity based off of their fundraising, governance, and finances, and what they do with all of this. They have been building their empire for 6 decades, conserving with 119 million acres of land, 5,000 river miles, as well as helping with 100 marine conservation programs, and they do all of this globally. Having this legitimacy means that it is a trusted charity for people to donate to and can be even further backed up by their stories. The Nature Conservancy states that 71.2% of our funding goes directly towards our science-driven program work. The other funding goes into governmental issues such as legislation. Just this month alone, the group, as well as other environmental groups, were applauded for a state legislation that passed in New York. This state legislation will account for 85% greenhouse gas emission reductions, 70% renewable energy, 23% in energy efficiency, and much more. They plan to do all of this within the next decade or two, which is a huge task for such a short amount of time. Another one of their stories, Bill Stanley, one of the main directors of the Nature Conservancy, states that we are delighted to see the Ohio House of Representatives recognize the critical importance of keeping our lakes, rivers, and streams cleaner, as well as our drinking water safer. He continues on to state that we urge the Senate to quickly hold hearing on House Bill 7 and to move forward to a strong, stable funding mechanism for H2 Ohio. So you can clearly see that the Nature Conservancy not only goes out in the field getting their hands dirty with conserving our lands, but they also get their hands dirty within the government and encouraging the government to pass state legislatures to help make our environment cleaner. Now that we know more information about the organization and what they're all about, we're going to pass it on to Zoya to look at different ways to help out the Nature Conservancy.
On their website, the organization offers multiple ways that individuals can help out. The best ways to do so are through volunteering and attending events, and then also taking political action. So first, volunteering. On the Nature Conservancy website, you can actually click through to find local opportunities near you. And in Ohio, they have this interesting thing called Ohio Volunteer Days. And these are certain days that throughout the year that are dedicated to serving at a specific location. For example, the Big Darby Creek Headwaters Preserve, the Edge of Appalachia Preserve, etc. And so by volunteering for these Ohio Days, you can work on protecting and restoring the ecosystems of these preserves. So that's one way to help. And the next thing that one can do is to take political action and stand with the organization. So one way to do this is to put your name on a petition that is then sent to your senators and representatives. And on the website, you can actually click through the petitions, which focus on things like Conservation Funding Act, protecting the endangered species, and climate change. And something that is a little bit more direct than petitioning is actually standing with the organization at certain times and locations to support the cause. So if you leave your name, your number, your address, etc. on the petition, then you can get more informed on rallies, protests, etc. near you on certain issues. And with all that being said on how to get involved, there is a process if an individual wants to do these things specifically for volunteering. So first, it is important to keep in mind the dates for the specific project that you want to help out with, because not every project is available all the time, and the dates that they do have these projects are always subject to change. So it's important to be prepared. Secondly, a lot of the projects require that you fill out an application and become an official volunteer. And that means that they require you to send in a resume, list prior experience, things of that sort. So by keeping all of that in mind, these are the best opportunities that the organization has to let people get involved. And so now that we know about the best way to support the organization, we leave with some concluding thoughts about climate change and the Nature Conservancy. Climate change is becoming more and more relevant, and so it is a worthy cause for Dr. Theis to support in 2019. Today, we spoke about the causes of climate change, some effects, some possible solutions, before finally discussing various organizations and concluding with the Nature Conservancy. The Nature Conservancy is an amazing organization dedicated to climate change and environmental protection. And by supporting this organization, we are one step closer to harnessing our planet's capacity to improve lives and touch lives in powerful ways. This was our speech on finding a worthy cause to support in 2019. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen.
Thank you.